Japan horror on alert after 3,500 venomous spiders found at U.S. base. First post America, N18G. The web beneath the. Japan woke up to a headline that felt too unreal to be true, the kind of story people whisper about in subway stations or post in late-night Reddit threads. A U.S. military base, one of the most secure, carefully guarded locations in the entire country, had quietly become the center of a biological mystery no one saw coming. Not a breach, not a weapon, but something far smaller and far more chilling. It began with a routine inspection at the U.S. Marine Corps Air Station in Iwakuni. A maintenance team had been checking the drainage tunnels near the aircraft hangars, an ordinary task that usually involved nothing more than clearing mud, lost tools, and the occasional stray frog. But on that humid morning, the team froze in their tracks. Inside the tunnels, the walls were moving. At first, they thought it was rippling water. Then their flashlights hit the truth. Thousands, literal thousands, of venomous spiders were clustered together, crawling over one another in layers so thick the concrete underneath was invisible. Their abdomens glowed faintly in the flashlight beams. Some had the unmistakable red hourglass marking. Others carried the muted orange streak of the brown widow, while a few had the bright, alarming red stripe of the infamous redback. What was once a drainage tunnel now looked like a scene from a creature horror film. The inspection team retreated immediately. Within an hour, the base had activated an internal alert, not for enemy intrusion, not for chemical danger, but for a biological invasion. Experts were called in. Environmental officials rushed to the site. Soon, the base's entire perimeter was crawling not with soldiers, but with scientists, exterminators, and containment units wearing protective white suits. And what they discovered stunned even them. Between July and October, the base had become an accidental breeding ground. Webs stretched across unused storage rooms, ventilation shafts, and even the underside of aircraft maintenance platforms. Spiders were being found not by the dozens, but by the hundreds at a time. By the time the first full sweep was completed, authorities had counted nearly 3,500 venomous spiders, a number that didn't just alarm experts, it terrified them. Because many were females, swollen with eggs, capable of laying hundreds more. When the environmental team traced possible entry points, the leading theory emerged. The spiders had hitched rides. Military cargo planes, defense aircraft traveling between countries, and supply shipments from regions across the Pacific could have carried them unknowingly. The base, constantly busy, constantly moving, became the perfect arrival point. Japan had experienced dangerous species invasions before, but never at this scale. And never inside a zone that was supposed to be airtight in its security. The second shock came when investigators noticed something alarming. This wasn't a new issue. Residents of Iwakuni City had reported strange spider sightings months earlier. A maintenance worker at a nearby storage facility swore he saw a black widow scurry under a vending machine. Someone else had taken blurry photos of a spider nest on the edge of the base's boundary fence. But no one thought it was part of something larger. And now, standing in an aircraft base crawling with venomous intruders, Japan's environmental officials were forced to face an unsettling reality. This was not a one-time infestation. This was a pattern, a repeating invasion that seemed to grow stronger every year. From Osaka to Yamaguchi, from rooftops to cargo ports, the spiders were spreading, silently. And what terrified experts the most wasn't the number of spiders inside the base. It was the possibility that some had already escaped the perimeter. As one lead specialist whispered during the first site briefing, "If we found 3,500 inside, imagine how many are out there." The military base was no longer a symbol of strength. It had become ground zero for a threat that Japan feared was already evolving. The unseen spread. Within 24 hours, the story broke across Japanese media. News anchors delivered updates with tight voices, environmental experts appeared on emergency broadcasts, and parents in nearby neighborhoods checked every corner of their homes before going to bed. The idea that thousands of venomous spiders had been living undetected inside a U.S. military base was disturbing enough, but the deeper investigation revealed something worse. This wasn't the beginning. This was the middle of a much larger timeline. When Japanese environmental officials traced earlier sightings, they discovered a paper trail of scattered warnings, notes, incident reports, and small-scale extermination logs dating back months. A vending machine technician in Osaka had reported strange webs inside a machine he was servicing. A highway maintenance worker swore he saw a bright red mark on a spider clinging to a guardrail. A school janitor in Yamaguchi had found egg sacs under a water tank. Each case was handled quickly, wiped clean, and dismissed as a small anomaly. No one realized those small anomalies were connected. And now, in the aftermath of the discovery at the base, the pattern became impossible to ignore. Authorities began conducting sweeps in residential districts, parks, industrial sites, anywhere that cargo from the base might have passed. Within a week, they found new clusters of spiders in areas miles away from Iwakuni. Egg sacs hidden in cracks of storage units. Small webs behind heating pipes. Even a few sightings at outdoor vending machines, where the warm compressors created perfect nesting pockets. Experts called it a silent expansion. Not a dramatic outbreak, not an explosion of insects, but a slow, calculated crawl outward. The kind of spread you never notice until it's too late. The first chilling moment came on a Thursday evening when a group of workers prepping for the upcoming Osaka Expo 2025 found a cluster of redbacks in a restricted backstage zone. Nearly 70 spiders, hidden behind electrical panels, tucked under equipment crates, and clustered near the warm base of a spotlight generator. The discovery triggered a full-stage lockdown, and the Expo committee held an emergency meeting overnight. Japan's officials were beginning to see the bigger picture. These spiders weren't spreading randomly. They were following heat, shelter, and transportation, the same systems humans rely on. The government called in biologists and invasive species specialists. Their findings only deepened the concern. Redbacks, black widows, and brown widows thrive in warm, confined, undisturbed spaces. Military bases, cargo ports, storage centers, backstage areas, drainage tunnels, they were all ideal environments. The spiders didn't need forests or gardens. They needed shadows, pipelines, vents, abandoned corners of modern infrastructure. And Japan had plenty of those. By midweek, another concerning report surfaced. A container ship docked at Niigata port had triggered an alarm. Customs officials, already on high alert, had begun screening cargo aggressively. When they opened a container of imported machinery, they found a trail of ants, fire ants, to be exact, crawling out onto the floor. Their presence suggested another invasive battle brewing simultaneously. Fire ants were aggressive, painful, and destructive. In response, Japan's customs agency deployed a new measure, training K9 beagles to detect ant colonies through scent. The public watched with a mixture of fear and fascination as footage of the beagles circulated online. For many, it was their first realization that Japan wasn't dealing with just one invader, but an entire wave of foreign species entering unnoticed. But back at the Iwakuni base, scientists were facing a more urgent concern. Their data suggested the redback population might already be beyond eradication. The invasive species had been documented in all 47 prefectures since first appearing in 1995. They thrived in vending machines, rooftops, crawl spaces, and ports. And with each generation, they adapted more efficiently to Japan's climate. The black widows and brown widows, however, were still somewhat contained, if action was swift. Inside a secure briefing room on the base, Japanese officials met with U.S. military representatives. Maps were spread across the table, marked with red pins. Each pin represented a location where spiders or egg sacs had been found. There were too many pins. And then one expert quietly voiced what everyone else feared to say. If these spiders arrived through aircraft before, then they can leave the same way. Silence filled the room. A chilling realization settled over the group. This wasn't just a Japanese problem. This was the beginning of an international spread, hidden in the shadows of global travel. And unless they stopped it now, the next outbreak wouldn't be in Iwakuni. It could be anywhere. The web that wouldn't break. By the time the third week of investigations began, Japan's environmental agencies, defense officials, and port authorities were operating under a single, sobering truth. The spiders were no longer the problem. The system that allowed them to spread was cargo ports, aircraft bays, shipping routes, storage hangars. Every channel that kept Japan connected to the world had unknowingly become a bridge for invasive species. And the discovery at the Iwakuni base was merely the loudest alarm in a chorus that had been building for years. To fight back, authorities launched Operation Shield Web, a nationwide initiative combining extermination teams, heat-based sterilization units, specialized vacuums for egg sac removal, and rapid response inspection squads trained to detect venomous species in high-risk zones. It was the most coordinated invasive species defense effort Japan had ever attempted. For a moment, it seemed like progress. Technicians cleared crawl spaces beneath the base. Ventilation shafts were fogged clean. Drainage tunnels that once writhed with webs now echoed with the metallic scrape of disinfectant tools. The base perimeter was reinforced, grass trimmed low, standing water eliminated, and gaps in fences sealed. Patrols were increased. Cargo inspections became strict, nearly surgical. But the deeper scientists looked, the more unsettling the situation became. Despite thousands of spiders being exterminated, new webs kept appearing. Small ones at first, thin, skeletal threads clinging to the underside of electrical meters, corners of storage bins, the backs of air conditioning units. The kind of webs that could be missed unless you were staring directly at them. The kind that suggested something important. Some spiders had already gotten out before Operation Shield Web even began. In a small residential neighborhood 4 miles from the base, a homeowner reported finding a redback wandering across a window frame at night. In another district, a grocery warehouse worker spotted an egg sac near the warm compressor of a freezer unit. A delivery driver swore he saw a black widow scurry under a stack of crates behind a convenience store. At first, the sightings were treated as isolated incidents. But when experts analyzed the DNA of several captured spiders, they confirmed a chilling pattern. These weren't remnants from decades-old invasions. These were direct descendants of the Iwakuni cluster, meaning the spread had started before the discovery was even made public. Across Japan, cities began preparing defensive measures. Airports installed thermal traps near luggage belts. Train stations published warning posters. Construction companies were instructed to inspect scaffolding and rooftop units. Even schools were briefed on how to identify venomous spiders, ensuring children knew what not to touch. Still, Japan's lead environmental researchers issued a blunt warning in a nationally televised briefing. Redbacks cannot be eradicated. We can only manage them. But one species. The expert paused, clicking to the next slide. The black widows and brown widows can still be contained, if we act with urgency. For days, teams carried out concentrated removal operations. They focused on industrial zones, warehouses, vending machine clusters, and cargo ports, locations where heat, shelter, and transport overlapped. The goal was simple: stop the species still within reach before they entrenched themselves the way redbacks had decades ago. But there was a final twist in this crisis, one that left officials speechless. During an overnight inspection at a logistics hub near Hiroshima, a technician discovered something strange inside a shipping crate, a cluster of egg sacs unlike the others. Smaller, lighter in color, arranged in tight, almost geometric patterns. Lab analysis confirmed what no one wanted to hear. The invasive spiders had begun adaptation behavior, perhaps triggered by Japan's climate, perhaps by competition, perhaps by absolute survival instinct. Whatever the reason, the species were evolving, faster than recorded in previous environments. And with global travel increasing, the threat didn't end at Japan's borders. Cargo shipping data revealed multiple routes connected Iwakuni's supply chain to ports in Southeast Asia, Australia, and the western United States. If even a few spiders or egg sacs had traveled outbound before the discovery, then the next outbreak might already be forming. No one would know until it was too late. As the chapter closed on the investigation, Japan released a final report summarizing the crisis. Foreign species will continue to enter as long as global movement continues. Vigilance must be continuous. This is not a one-time invasion, it is a new era of biological arrivals. But for the people living near the base, the message felt far simpler. The spiders were gone. But the fear they left behind was everywhere. Japan had learned that danger didn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it crawled in quietly. On the underside of a plane, hidden in a shadow, waiting for the right moment to be seen.